Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. Along with Vincent Turner, our co-host and founder of 100 Yards, I'm Harper LeBel, and this is our NCAA preview show. We are going to talk about 5 of the games that are different and maybe just as exciting. They may not be the ones that you're going to watch, but for all kinds of different reasons, we're going to tune in one way, shape, or form, and we hope that you do as well. Vincent, first of all, last week was a great week and a lot of big games. Oregon and Penn State was one of those classics. Alabama, Georgia, classics, easy to talk about. This week, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to pick a game that may not be on the number 1 list on everybody's must-see TV, but it could be on number 2 or 3. So we're going to try to hit a little bit of a different sect of games, and hopefully we choose it. By the way, the Sam Houston, New Mexico State game, which is set for 9 o'clock at Eastern time at Aggie Memorial Stadium there in Las Cruces, is the first game of the week. There'll be 5 games on Friday and then a host of games, but not quite as many because there's quite a few teams that have a bye week.
Yes, sir. I mean, when you look at college football right now, I say every week is a playoff week. Every game means something. And when you look at it, it's good for the fans, it's good for the schools. And I like what college football is at right now. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, a lot of good things that are going on and some very interesting games. And we're going to start with one that features a ranked team that not a whole lot of people are talking about. The game overseas in Dublin against Kansas State, then South Dakota. They beat Iowa, Arkansas State, and then finally they get their first conference win. They get a win 39-14 against Arizona. They're ranked number 14 in the land right now. Iowa State undefeated going against the 3-1 Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati has surprised me. One of the reasons I wanted to look at this game is just because you got 2 teams with 7 wins in 8 games, and Cincinnati at home, anything can happen. This ought to be a very, very good game.
Well, you look at Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield, that took the job a couple of seasons ago from Louisville. Everybody was saying, man, why are you taking the job over here? It's the same type of job you was at Louisville. He said it was a better situation for him. First couple of seasons, it hasn't really gone well for a lot of Cincinnati Bearcat faithfuls, but this is a good football team. Think about this. They was in that game, their first game of the year against Nebraska on the road, and really came away with a 3-point loss, but they could have easily won that football game. But I like their quarterback, Brendan Sorpy. He is a fantastic football player. 1,043 yards passing, the dual threat guy. This is a real tough Cincinnati team, and this is going to be a tough game for Iowa State going on the road playing Cincinnati. Back to you, Hawk.
You know, it's interesting. Brandon Sorsby, here's a guy that you mentioned 10 touchdowns. He's got 1 interception. He's only been sacked once, and that says a lot to me. We'll talk about some games later where the sack numbers are a little bit higher, but only 1. So either he gets rid of the ball quickly or the offensive line is blocking for him. He's making the right decisions, getting the ball out, probably a combination of both. But Taway Walker has 3 touchdowns right now for them. As a team, they've got 8. So he's averaging about 4 yards a carry, And Cyrus Allen, 11.9 yards per carry. He has 5 of their 12 touchdowns in the air. Those are 2 guys offensively that the Bearcats need to be involved in the game, and Iowa State needs to find a way to slow them down.
Iowa State, Andy Beckett, little baby boy, Rocco. He's got Iowa State 5-0. And a lot of people are saying, well, Iowa State haven't really played up to their potential yet, but they're 5-0. Beckett is doing an outstanding job. Then you got Carson Hansen, one of the most underrated running backs in the country, 315 yards on the year. And they got a very good defensive player by the name of Marcus Neal Jr. But I like Matt Campbell. Remember a couple of seasons ago, Matt Campbell was the hottest name in college football? A lot of people was rooting him to take the Detroit Lions job before Dan Campbell took it. So at the end of the day, I like the Cyclones. Don't discount the win at Iowa, and don't discount the win when they had in the first game against Kansas State. Back
Yeah.
to you, Hawk.
Yeah, a couple of good games that they win there. And then obviously this will add to the resume if they're able to win this one on the road. You mentioned some of the key players with Rocco and Carson, but 2 tight ends, Gabe Burkle and Ben Bramer. Between the 2 of them, they have 28 catches for close to 300 yards. and they have 4 of the 7 touchdowns. So look for Iowa State to be going over the middle to try to get the ball, especially when they get in the red zone. Those will be a couple of key components to them having a successful win if they're able to get one there against the Bearcats in Cincinnati. That game is at 12 noon on ESPN2. Second game we're going to look at, boy, I'll tell you what, last year this game would be a feature. 3-1 Boise State, though, going against 2-2 Notre Dame. I'm not going to say we're a year late in putting this one together. Just some different circumstances right now. This will be on NBC at 3:30, as I mentioned. And Maddox Madsen, the quarterback, had a rough first game, but he's thrown for over 1,100 yards, 59% in his completion area, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception. He's only been sacked twice. This is a nice way to wrap up your senior year, I think, is play where and especially if you go on the road and you get a big win at Touchdown Jesus there in South Bend.
Boise State, they win this football game, we get them back in the talk of the college football playoffs. Didn't have an outstanding game coming out of the games against South Florida. A lot of people wanted to write them out, but they've been kind of clean since then. They won 3 in a row. This is a huge football game for them. But matter of fact, it's a college football playoff game for them because they lose this game, we're going to be talking about Boise State no more for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Back to you, Hawk.
even if they win the conference, it'll be tough. At 2-2, CJ Carr is leading the Irish. He's got a little over 1,000 yards for him, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 7 times. That to me seems like a little bit of a high number. And then we're going to look at Jeremiah Love. Obviously, last year was one of the key components to get into the playoff final last year. He's got 5 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. And Jadarian Price, 40 carries for him, 6.8 yards. He has 6 touchdowns. Between the two of them, they got 11 of the 13 that the Irish have right now. So basically, it's going to be a run first, run second, maybe even run third, depending on how far it is. But don't expect Notre Dame to put the ball in the air a whole heck of a lot. Even though they're capable of doing it, it's going to be a run first Irish team.
I want to see how Notre Dame played last week in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I think they answered my question. Even though I like Boise State, but Boise State, your season's going to be over with because Notre Dame going to win this football game, and Notre Dame is going to go undefeated for the rest of the season. So you might as well pencil them in as a college football playoff team. I'm saying it right now, October the 3rd. Think who they lost to. They lost to 2 teams highly ranked, Miami and Texas A&M. And when you look at their schedule, it's clear sailing from here. So
yeah, they don't have any more highly ranked teams, do they? I mean, there may be some that sneak in by the end of the year, but as of right now,
they're better than everybody on their schedule.
Yeah.
Right now. Let's be honest. Let's don't play around with it, Hawk. They're going to be in the college football playoffs. They're going to run the table, and they're going to make another statement against Boise State this weekend. Back to you, Hawk.
Will there be arguments between Big Ten or SEC or maybe even ACC teams that are kind of on the bubble going, look at who they played? If they're not blowing out Stanford or Air Force when they play later on in the year against anybody that they're going against, if it's not a blowout, could that be a detriment, or is just a 10-2 Irish team they're in regardless, just move over, make room for them, and then everybody else has to go where the dust settles?
From my knowledge of being on this face of the earth for 65 years and knowing what Notre Dame football has meant to college football, I don't care what they do. Long as they win 10 straight, they're going to be in the college football playoffs. We're talking about a school that got their own contract with a major network, NBC. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, you settled it. You didn't even have to say it. I know. I'm just trying to think of it. Here's another one that will be of interest, at least for me. Virginia, where did they come from? They're 4-1 right now. They snuck into the top 25. They're ranked at number 22 at 3:30 on ESPN2. They go to Louisville. Louisville's 4-0. They beat Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, Bowling Green, and Pitt in their last game, and now they get to take on a competitive Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina. They lose to North Carolina State in a game that I guess they're really kicking themselves for that. They beat William & Mary, then Stanford, and then they upset Florida State last week in overtime. Chandler Morris is their guy, 1,200 yards. He's played in 5 games, but clearly he's well on the way to getting well over 2,000, 2,500 yards. 71 is his completion percentage number. 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's only been sacked 3 times in the 5 games that he's played. They've rushed for 17 touchdowns. They have 11 on the ground. Virginia can score, Vincent.
Yeah, they've got a very explosive football team. When you look at it, I think they got three running backs that's got like over 200 yards rushing. But I'm telling you, I love the quarterback. He been to 4 schools. Started out at Oklahoma, then went to TCU, then was at North Texas, and then he ends up at Virginia. And you got to be happy for Tony Elliott because the first 2 years, going in his third year, I didn't think Tony Elliott would make it as a head coach. But you want to know what's funny about this? Tony Elliott was the quarterback's coach at Clemson, right? The offensive coordinator was Chad Morris. Who's Chad Morris' baby son? Chandler. And
Chandler.
he a good football player.
Yeah, he
Let
is.
me tell you something. He one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He showed me some. Matter of fact, he was the difference against Florida State last week. Let's don't play with this. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, Miller Moss is the big guy that Louisville is going to have to counter with 5 touchdowns for him. He's been sacked 8 times, though. And that's one of the things that, that number seems a little bit high for this point in the season. But 65% with his completion percentage. And Isaac Brown has 33 carries for 268 yards, 8.1 yards per carry. For a running back, that's a great number, right? That's a low number if you're at a wideout, but I'll take that anytime. And Chris Bell, 23 receptions for 330 yards, 14.4. He's got 2 touchdowns and 2 of the 6 for the Cardinals. Louisville can score too, but I really do like Virginia. I think they go on the road. I think they're on a mission right now since they lost that North Carolina State game, and certainly they get a chance to prove this at 3:30 again on ESPN2.
When I look at Louisville, I think about Jeff Brom, quarterback at Louisville. He was at Purdue, decided to come back to his hometown school, Louisville, and he's done a pretty good job. And you look at this football game, this is going to be the game of the pretenders. Whoever wins this football game, the nation is going to take a very close look at. And I got to agree with you, Mr. Harper LeBel. I like the Virginia team. They stood toe to toe with Florida State last week, and I think they're a little better football team than Louisville. I'm rolling with my man, the host himself, Harper LeBel from California. I really like Virginia, and I like Chandler Morris
Okay,
and Tony Elliott.
you said the Pretenders. Are you going with the group with Chrissy Hine, or are you going with Pretenders and Contenders? I'm not sure exactly where you were going with that one.
Well, that's where I was coming with their philosophy, the pretenders. But that's what we used to say back home. We didn't just say contenders. We say, hey, which guy's gonna pretend like he gonna be the superstar today?
Okay, you go the Pretender side, not the
Yeah,
Contender side,
yeah,
and that's
yes,
fine.
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Just want to
Yes,
make sure
sir.
we're on the same page there, because I thought you were going to come, back on the Chain Gang, or you were going to talk about
Yeah, that was
something,
that was a
right?
nice song though. That
It
was
was,
that was
man.
yeah, it hit #1 on the charts. And I
Yeah,
like Christy Hine, to be
that
honest.
that album was played and spun quite a bit back in the day. You know a little
Yes,
bit about
sir.
that. All right, let's look at the next game. Let's talk a little bit about probably Florida's this year. This is going to be the game of the year for them, right? Miami is number 3 in the country. I'm sorry, they're number 3. I'm sorry, they were 4 earlier. Um, they beat Notre Dame, beat Bethune-Cookman, South Florida, and then Florida. They're 4-0 right now. Carson Beck's their guy, and they're going to go against Florida State, who beat Bama, then beat East Texas A&M, then Kent State, and then they lose last week in overtime to Virginia. The Seminoles are number 18 in the country right now. Um, this is an important game for both of these teams. This one to me is you flip a coin, it doesn't matter. They're going to both be playing. There's pride on the line. There's high school and junior college rivalries that are on the line. There's the two teams themselves with a lot on the line, the coaching staffs, and then of course you throw in that national ranking. And this could change quite a bit if Florida State loses. I think Florida State has more to lose if it turns that way than Miami. Am I wrong?
You're totally correct. I mean, this is a game of the year for Florida State. They lose this game, bye-bye college football playoffs, I think. Miami, what I want to see with Miami, are they really for real? Championship teams win games like this. You got a championship quarterback in Carson Beck. And matter of fact, let me ask you this, Harp. Let's say Carson Beck goes in there and throws over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Do we go back up the Heisman list?
Oh, he'll move up. Yeah, there's no doubt. I
Okay.
don't know if he'll be a finalist, but he'll move up absolutely against Florida State. You bet. Yes.
But I agree with you 100%. The Hey man, the pressure's on Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. Losing to Virginia last week really kind of put them in a bind. But they playing on their home field. It's going to be rocking in Tallahassee. And what's the mascot chief? Oh, what's his name? Asolola, the guy that comes and put the spear in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's going to
Eh,
be sparing. He's going to have a little extra gusto this week. Remember last year, and I was going to bring this up. We'll do it now. Last year, Florida State just fell off the map, right? They jumped off
yes,
the
sir.
cliff. They're down in the canyon. They're like Wile E. Coyote, right? They land in a bunch of rocks and they get up. They got to dust themselves off. But they have dusted themselves off. And I think for them to be able to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and really get tough again and play at the level that people expect Florida State, I love the turnaround. I just don't know if they have enough to take on the number 3 Miami Hurricanes.
Well, I'm going to say this one more time because I know we got a lot of people watching the show tonight from Florida State. Not calling on names, but I know you watching the video tonight. I'm going to say this. Last year, as my man just said, Mr. LeBel, the rails fell off. Y'all went 2-10. And the Alabama game was so critical to y'all. And when y'all won that Alabama game, I remember one of your alums, Brian McFadden, said something, and I saw a video after the game. He said, "Hey, do not buy into the hype. You smelling good right now like perfume, but get off that." And I want to know, did that happen to them last week against Virginia? Because I had them beating Virginia last week. I'm not going to tell you no lie. But
Mm.
right now, you can push yourself in the corner. And you know I'm telling you, right, seminar fans and some of the former players that's been on here 100 yards football, the pressure's on y'all. You lose that game, bye bye, Serenata. You will not be playing in the college football playoffs. This is the game of the year in Tallahassee. And Mike Norvell, I'm pulling for you because of one thing, you coached at Memphis. But if you lose this game, hot seat again. Back to you, Mr. LaBelle.
Let's look at the standings here in the ACC. It's week 6. You might say it's a little early, and I'll agree with you, but I'm still going to look. All right. It's 6 weeks into this. Georgia Tech, Virginia, and do you have any idea who's also number 3 or at least tied? They're 2-0. Duke Blue
Don't have.
Devils. How about that? Who would have thought
Ooh,
that the Blue Devils at this time of the season would be at the top of the standing? 2 wins, no losses. Now, Louisville, Cal Berkeley, Virginia Tech are also undefeated, but they've only got 1 game in the conference that they played. Miami hasn't played a conference game. They're 4-0, and this is their first one for obvious reasons. And Florida State is 0-1, right, with that loss to Virginia that they had last week. So interesting to see how this thing turns out. But 0-2 for the Seminoles this early. I don't know. I think you're right. It could be sayonara. I mean, you may not even make it up. You'll get to a bowl game, but I don't know if you'll be able to play for the conference championship. And with 2 losses, I think that'll be a real key factor. Before we go, Tommy Castanayos, 848 yards, not the highest out there. 64%, not the highest. Only 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's only been sacked twice. And again, we're talking about a team that played Alabama. We know that, but East Texas A&M, Kent State. I think the numbers should be a little bit higher, but you know what? I'm not watching him every week, so I don't know. If you're okay with the numbers, that's right. Gavin Sawchuk, 6 touchdowns for him. They have 20 on the ground. And Deuce Robinson, 17 receptions for him. He's averaging about 20 yards or catch. He has 3 touchdowns of the 9 that the Seminoles have. I think if anything, Miami is to slow those 3 guys down. If they do, they got a pretty good chance of getting out of Tallahassee with the victory.
like I said, the pressure's on Florida State. I just believe they lose this football game. You go 0-2 in the conference. And I believe you still got Georgia Tech on the schedule. You got Clemson on the schedule. You got Duke on the schedule. That's going to be a tall task. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Well, again, I said at 3:30. This is a 7:30 kick. Please forgive me. I had the wrong time. We're going to look at the last game here. Oh, goodness. We would not be able to get through a show without having the Kitty Cats from Memphis right now. They're at home. They're going to play Tulsa. Memphis is 5-0, Vincent. Congratulations to them. They've kind of secretly, quietly, just kind of been lurking around in the weeds, just like a tiger would, not letting anybody know I'm here, but you're not hearing me roar yet. Okay. Tulsa is 2-3. Baylor Hayes is their quarterback, 787 yards for him, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been sacked 9 times. The reason I bring this up is because Brandon Lewis, the quarterback for Memphis, he's been sacked 10 times. So I looked this up. Jadan Burnett, defensive lineman there for Tulsa, and Byron Turner have 10 sacks between the two of them, 10 of their 13s, 5.5 and 4.5 respectively. If those two guys are able to wreak some havoc there in the backfield, it could be a long day. I don't think that Memphis is going to lose at home. I think they're driven right now. This is a important matchup there, conference, a lot of things riding on the line, but congratulations, 1, to Memphis, and 2, get right back to work. Okay. We don't have a whole lot of time, but over the next 5 or 6 weeks, you could sneak yourself into a top 25, maybe a top 15 mode. Is that what you're thinking there?
Hey, I'm very proud of this football team. First, and let me correct you on something. It was some people that contacted me from Memphis this morning. Well, not this morning, but obviously you've been calling the Tigers kitty cats. They're the Tigers. Remember that.
Okay.
The Memphis Tigers. You've been calling them kitty cats, and some people are taking kind of, I want to say, upset at that.
What?
My
You
sisters, they
pe-
want you to say Tigers,
pe-
not kitty cats.
people get offended by something that I am so shocked by that. Oh my
Tigers,
goodness.
Tigers. Now let me
Tigers.
get back. Let me get back.
It's not my, what's the name of their tiger?
Tiger Tom.
Tiger Tom. All right.
Yes,
I've
sir.
seen Tiger Tom. And
Yes,
Tiger
sir.
Tom, that if I were um, if I were in a Nike commercial about 20 years, he's a bad man. Remember the Spike Lee commercials? The Nike commercials from back then. That cat he's in this big cage that's being pulled by a
Yes. Yep.
F-350 before the
Yep.
game. Now, Mike
Yep.
the Tiger is a little bit different. Mike just sits in front of the opposing locker room. That's pretty intimidating right there. That'd be, you guys don't do that. That's fine. You don't do that in Memphis.
But I'm
But it
gonna
is
tell.
Tiger Tom's pretty sweet. That's an amazing mascot.
Well, then had like Tiger One, Tiger Two, Tiger Three. I remember back in the mid 19, I want to say 1997, they had Tiger Tom 5 passed. And to tell you how powerful the mascot was, the Sunday paper, the commercial appeal had him on the front page. Tiger Tom is passed. University of Memphis mascot. But let me get into talk about the Tigers though. Don't you know the Tigers have won 9 straight? Nine
I didn't
straight.
know that, but that makes sense. Sure.
Now I saw them play about 3 weeks ago here in the Metro Atlanta area.
Yep.
Compliments of you and your nice gesture to me and my friend, Mr. Ronnie Keeble. And I saw the Tigers play Georgia State. And I'll be honest with you, I did not see them as a good football team. And I didn't think they would beat Arkansas 2 weeks ago in Memphis, Tennessee. And they were leading that game by 14 points in the fourth quarter. So that tells
Yeah.
me they've improved a lot since that time. Ryan Severville, University of Memphis, in the city of Memphis, you better enjoy him because after the year, he's going to move on to a bigger job. He's one of the hottest coaching candidates out there.
Yep.
But I expect Memphis to win this game very easily because Tulsa is a bad football team. Let's don't play with them. They are a bad football team. And Memphis should roll in this game and continuously winning and it continues their winning streak to 10. Back to you, Mr. LaBelle.
Yeah, I'm not a big spread guy, but it's over 20. Not much. I think it's 20 and a half. And uh, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Now that's more than just saying the Liberty Bowl. I'm used to the Liberty Bowl, right? But Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium at 8 o'clock, and this game will be on ESPNU, um, to where Tiger Tom and the Golden Hurricane. Yeah, how do you stop a Golden Hurricane? Well, you just tackle their guys. Um, it could be a long day. It's not a very long trip, but Baylor Hayes, um, Dominic Richardson, and Zion Booker will be the 3 guys that Memphis has to stop. And if they do that, they could quickly be 6-0. So those are look. Anything else? Is there any other game that we didn't pick right now that you're thinking we should at least discuss or talk about here before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, I think you had a pretty good list this evening. I think it's been covered nationally, and I think all the teams that we covered and all the games, I think it's going to be some good college football played this weekend.
All right. Well, tomorrow night, Friday at 10:30, the Colorado State Rams and San Diego State Aztecs go with one another. So I got at least once say something about my Rams. That's at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. I did not know that they called it Snapdragon. When they used to play at the Murph, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many amazing games that were played there. And anyway, so the Rams will be out there. We did not feature them, so we'll do that later. But Memphis, whether you call them the Kitty Cats or whether you call them Tiger Tom or
There
just
you
plain
go.
Tigers, they are playing well right now. And if they have it again their way on Saturday evening, they'll be 6-0. That's a great place to be. You're halfway through the season and you haven't lost. That's good. All right, Vincent. Final call. What of these 5 games, which one will you want to spend a little bit more time watching than the other?
Of course, the Miami and Florida State game. It's history there. So many great players that came out of that school. Your former teammate Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin, they were the key matchup of the 1980s. When no school in the country, not Notre Dame, not USC, everybody was must-see TV when Miami and Florida State played, especially from 1986 to 1990. That's going to be a huge football game in Florida State. As I said before, to all the knows who watching this evening, and I know you're watching, this is an important football game for your school. Because if y'all lose that game, it's 0-2 in the ACC. Bye-bye. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, speaking of bye-bye, I'll probably watch a little bit of that Boise Notre Dame game. But if the Irish get up, 17-3 or something like that early in the first quarter, or before the half, I don't know. I'm not going to watch the rest of that. But I will keep my eyes on that Miami Florida game. That Florida State, that ought to be a good one. You're right there. That's probably of the 5 the one that I would want to spend the most time. Although this Iowa State Cincinnati, it'll be sneaky good. That's again at noon on ESPN2. So we want to let everybody know that these are 5 games that are of interest to us. We have taken the numerous others. There are teams that are more highly ranked. Yes, we understand. And those are games that, but from a bigger conference standpoint, whether it be the SEC or the Big 10, Big 12, doesn't matter. But these are some big games as well. So we appreciate you being a part of that. He's Vincent Turner. I'm Harper LeBel. Together, we're 100 Yards of Football, and this is our NCAA preview show. We appreciate you being a part of it. Have a fantastic